Morning to all of you. Dear students, last time I have covered the topic prokaryotic cell, eukaryotic cell and the cytoplasm. Now, what is present in the cytoplasm? Yes, subcellular components. These are called cell organelles. Today I'm just going to discuss about cell organelles. First cell organelles I will discuss today is mitochondria. In every lesson I'll just discuss at least one cell organelle. Dear students, as I told you about cell organelles, these are microscopic structures which are specialized to perform a specific function. Larger and more evolved eukaryotic cells have a lot of metabolic activity to support their complicated structure and function. To keep different activities separate from each other, cell organelles are present in them. There are some cell organelles continue to survive, perform their function even outside the cell if they are provided with environment similar to that of cytoplasm. We have just classified all the cell organelle into three types: double membrane bound, single membrane bound, and many of the cell organelles some cell organelles are without membrane. So here ribosomes are the organelles without membrane. They are present in both prokaryotic cell as well as in eukaryotic cell. Here is a list of organelle which is single membrane bound. One is vacuole, lysosome, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum. All these membrane bound organelle present in a eukaryotic cell only, not in prokaryotic cell. Mitochondria and chloroplast, or you can say plastid, are a double membrane bound organelle present in a eukaryotic cell. Here is a list of organelle along with their function. Daily we will discuss one organelle in detail, and all these organelles are very important. First of all, nucleus, which we have already covered. It contains DNA and control center of the cell. So most of the time there's question, name the cell organelle which is called control center of the cell. So answer is nucleus. Next is ribosome. Ribosome, protein factory. Main function is to synthesize protein. Next is endoplasmic reticulum. It forms lipids, break down drugs, pack up the proteins. Next is mitochondria. Mitochondria is known as powerhouse of cell because it store energy, whatever the food which we eat get oxidized in our body, release energy. That energy is stored in the mitochondria of the cell. So it is called powerhouse of cell. And today I'm just going to discuss this cell organelle, mitochondria. Next is chloroplast. Chloroplast, it is called kitchen of the plant cell because helps in the making food using the energy of sunlight. Golgi complex, it process transport material out of cell. Vacuole, it is like a storehouse of cell. Name the cell organelle which is called storehouse of cell. Vacuole. Lysosome, name the cell organelle which is called suicide bag of cell is a lysosome because it digests during emergency its own cell organelle. So that's why it is called suicide bag. Digest food particle, wastes, cell parts, foreign invaders. So daily we discuss one organelle in detail. Today I'm just going to discuss about mitochondria. Start discussion of mitochondria, powerhouse of cell. Mitochondria is like a battery to a torch and petrol for a car. Mitochondria is called powerhouse of cell because they contain necessary enzyme which is required for the oxidation of food and released high amount of energy in the form of ATP. ATP is called energy currency of cell, act like fuel for a cell. Now let's learn how to draw the structures of mitochondria. Now come to the structure of the mitochondria. Mitochondria are rod-shaped cell organelle. Each mitochondria is bounded by a two membrane. Outer membrane is very smooth, very porous, whereas inner membrane it is folded inward to form a cristae. Mitochondria is double membrane, rod-shaped structure found in both plant and animal cell. Its size range from 0.5 to 1.0 micrometer in diameter. It consists of outer membrane, inner membrane, and jelly-like material called matrix. Outer membrane and inner membrane are made up of proteins and lipids and separated by a intermembrane space. Outer membrane covers the surface of mitochondria and has a large number of special proteins known as porins. These porins, it is a freely permeable to ions, nutrients, molecules, energy molecules like ADP and ATP. This can easily pass through a membrane. Inner membrane of mitochondria is rather complex in structure as compared to outer membrane. It has many folds. Like inner membrane is folded inward to form a cristae. Now what is the function of this cristae? It increases the surface area so that maximum ATP molecule can be generated on this surface. Now, what is the function of cristae? Increase the surface area for reaction, and this is a very important question. So, inner membrane is folded to form a layered structure called cristae. Cristae and proteins of inner membrane helps in the production of ATP molecules. ATP means adenosine triphosphate. This inner membrane is selectively permeable, strictly permeable only and only to oxygen and to ATP molecules. Number of chemical reactions take place within the inner membrane of mitochondria, and ATP is called energy currency of cell. It gives energy during the for various activity of body. And whenever we eat food get oxidized in our body and release energy in the form of ATP. This molecule is stored in the mitochondria and give power to the cell. And when we can use this energy whenever it is required by our body for a various activity of. Mitochondrial matrix is a fluid that contains enzymes, proteins, ribosomes, DNA, nucleotide. Enzymes present in the matrix play an important role in the synthesis of ATP molecules. As you know, DNA is present in the nucleus of the cell, but mitochondria is a cell organelle having their own DNA. If they have their own DNA and ribosome, they can synthesize their own protein. So mitochondria is known as semi-autonomous. This is a very important question. Name a cell organelle having their own DNA, and why mitochondria are known as semi-autonomous. Dear students, here you can see in inner membrane of cristae also there contain a small rounded body. It is racket shaped structures called F1 particle or oxysome. These are the called oxysome or elementary particle. It is a ATP synthesis particles. Helps all the ATP synthesis occur in this oxysome. So till now what points we have discussed about mitochondria. Cells get their energy from mitochondria. Mitochondria are also called powerhouse of cell because it give energy, it store energy form of ATP. Mitochondria are rod-like spherical structures and covered by two membrane. Outer membrane Outer membrane is very porous, inner membrane is deeply folded to form a cristae. This cristae increases the surface area for a chemical. Energy is released by mitochondria in the form of ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. Dear students, its full form is very important. Why ATP is called energy currency of cell? Because it gives energy for various activity of body. Mitochondria have their own DNA, so it can replicate their own. Means it can like form multiple copies of DNA. Mitochondria also have a ribosome, so they can synthesize their own proteins. So this is a small exercise for you. You have to label all the parts of the mitochondria. After doing it, write the answers. You can match it. Here all the answers are given. Now, what are the functions of mitochondria? They are site of cellular respiration. I think you are very well aware about cellular respiration, means oxidation of food that we take and release energy. They use oxygen to oxidize the carbohydrates, fats present in our cell and releases carbon dioxide, water. This oxidation release energy in form of ATP. Since mitochondria is energy-rich compound, ATP called powerhouse of cell and ATP is also called energy currency of the cell. Mitochondria are also able to make some of proteins because they have their own DNA and ribosome, so they are regarded as semi-autonomous organelle. Let's understand how to draw structure of mitochondria step by step.
we are given the task of planning a new city. What would the list of necessities include? A medical care center, market area, garden, shopping center, educational institutes, and so many in the list. Apart from these, the proper supply of water and a well-designed sewerage system tops the chart of requirements. Are we missing something important? For every house to be functioning properly, don't we need a power supply? Of course we do. Power supply is one of the most essential requirements of every home today. Without it, functioning of important and useful gadgets is not possible. Similarly, in our cells, for the organelles to work, there has to be a continuous supply of energy. So which organelle takes the responsibility of supplying this energy? It's the mitochondria. The double membrane organelle is called as a powerhouse of the cell because it produces molecules which are usable form of energy for the cell. What do we mean by usable form of energy in the first place? Well, let's say we want to buy something from a shop. What will we give the shopkeeper in return of the goods? Can we just give him pieces of paper? Of course not. We give proper currency notes and not just pieces of paper. That is because although both are made up of paper, the currency notes are the standardized forms with immense values. So we can say that these currency notes are the usable forms. If the same sized piece of paper is given, then that will not be considered as a currency, because the usable form is the actual standard and accepted currency note. Similarly, the food we eat gives us energy. We know this, but the energy from the food is not in the usable form. So the enzymes in the mitochondria convert these energy molecules into usable molecules called the adenosine triphosphate. It's abbreviated as ATP. So are these ATP molecules the usable forms? That's right. Cells can obtain energy when these ATP molecules are broken down. So how does this powerhouse of the cell look like? The mitochondria has two membranes, the outer membrane and the inner membrane. The outer membrane is porous, which means it allows the transport of materials across itself. The inner membrane is slightly different and interesting to understand. The membrane is thrown into several folds and therefore has a larger surface area. These folds are referred to as cristae. But what's the use of a larger surface area? A larger surface area would be a wider base for ATP. Thus, larger the surface area, larger will be the amount of ATP molecules generated. Apart from this, the organelle has its own DNA and ribosomes, just like the nucleus. Therefore, mitochondria can make its own proteins and replicate on its own. That means it makes its copies independent of the other organelles. Now that we've got introduced to the extremely important organelle,